how cool was that moment for either one of you about when Snick comes in there and just tells you guys that you've made it?
Yeah, pretty cool. Being from Atlanta and playing for the Braves, obviously a special one. Something definitely strive for, and happy to be able to represent the Braves.
Yeah, it's always a fun experience. I've said it a lot of times before. I enjoy the festivities, and being able to be a part of an All-Star game at your home stadium makes it, a little bit more special too. I was obviously especially excited for Matt here, obviously growing up from here and having a lot of family here and being able to, take his son on the field and get some pictures and stuff like that. So but it's always a good time.
Matt, just think about that 2000 home run derby, and you're the 6-year-old. Now you're going to go out there in the crowd and see 6, 7, 8-year-olds. How cool was that going to be?
Yeah, it's one of those full circle things for sure. It's always special, but like Sailor was saying, at a place, obviously, it was Turner Field when I was growing up, but in the city that you grow up, being the kid, kind of hoping one day that you'd be able to do that, and being able to be there is special.
Chris, how are you doing? Is this a little bittersweet, I guess, not being able to pitch in it? And are you healing, looking forward to down the stretch?
Yeah, I was actually a little surprised. I didn't know if I had enough innings or if I'd missed enough time to kind of miss the mark, but I definitely appreciate the recognition and being able to take part in this. And like I said, just being able to stand on that line in front of our home fans for an All-Star game is special. So just obviously I don't get to play, which is unfortunate. I've always liked participating in the game. But being able to stand at that line and, tip my cap and be able to, like I said, be at home for an All-Star game is special, and I definitely appreciate it.
Do you feel like everything you've gone through in your career, and even at this point, like you cherish it a little bit more, getting to go to the All-Star game?
I mean, I've always been able to try to appreciate each one for what they are, and knowing that, this isn't a guarantee any given year, so I try to be able to kind of separate things and enjoy it for what it is, and kind of be in the moment, knowing that this could always be your last one. So you always try to kind of treat it like your first one.
When those first 7 All-Star selections for you, the kids were younger, or maybe some weren't even born yet for some of them. But how cool was last year to do that, and how much more does that make you look forward to what they'll experience here this year?
For sure, I appreciate it. It's fun, and my kids love it. They have a blast, and hopefully the younger ones now can remember some of these, some of the moments, and be able to appreciate it when they get older. I remember Jake Peavy telling me one time, and I felt like this a few years ago when I was going through it. I remember him telling me when he had 3 sons at the time, he's like, my oldest son knew I was a badass, my middle son knows I play baseball, my youngest son thinks I stink. So I stole that joke from him a few years ago. So it's cool to, let the boys in the house know Dad still got it a little bit.
What are y'all anticipating from the reception from the home crowd?
Hopefully it's a good one. We got Ronnie doing the Derby, which should be awesome, and it's one of the most impressive BPs I've seen. So hopefully he shows out for the crowd, and everybody's pulling behind him. It's always cool, when the Derby participant has the home crowd behind them. And like Sailor said, when they announce your name when you're on the line, it's going to be a little different, when you got Braves fans there.
With all the pomp and circumstance, just like what's your favorite thing during All-Star Weekend? Like, what do you enjoy the most about it?
I think for me, it's just being around some of the best players in the game. I love just figuring out kind of how guys tick a little bit, their personalities. Are they, super serious by the book? Or are they joking around all the time, having a good time? Go watch them in the cage. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And it's really the stuff kind of beforehand, and in the clubhouse, in the tunnel, before the game that I've appreciated the most.
Yeah, hanging out, being in the clubhouse is fun. But I'm a derby guy. I've always loved the home run derby. I remember, as a kid watching it with my dad. So that was something I've loved since I was a kid, watching on TV and, being able to watch it in person as a player. And, I've had some teammates participate a couple times. So that's always a fun one for me.
Which one was your favorite?
What's that?
Which one was your favorite?
Well, I would say I'd have to break it into probably two of them because in 16, Frazier was defending his title as for the home run derby, and last year having Oso in the derby and being able to borrow one of his pieces of jewelry was exciting for me.
This is special because it's at home, but also it's special because the starts that both of you got off to. You rebounded strong. You rebounded strong. How rewarding is that?
Yeah, I think, individually and kind of as a unit, obviously not, necessarily starts we wanted to get to, and be able to kind of stick to it. I feel like a broken record when I say it when things are going bad, but you have to, stay with the course of the season. We play so many games, especially as a position player, being out there every day. You get 600, 700 at bats. You can't just mail it in after, a bad month or so. And, to be able to kind of, turn it around a little bit, see some results and kind of get this, reward for it. It's always it's a feel good.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely like to get back on track, especially after a rough start. But for me personally, it really just kind of shows the importance of a team, right? And the importance of unity and everyone kind of pulling for each other. Because, as I mentioned before, I was off to a rough start and I was kind of in the middle of an ocean, in a canoe, not really knowing what's going on. And I had a lot of people come to me with a lot of information of, hey, this is what we've seen, this is what we think you need to do. So it was, again, leaning on my guys and on my team and on my staff, teammates, coaches, trainers, stuff like that. So, I was in a tough spot, but I got out of it because of the people around me, and that just can't stress enough how important, leaning on your teammates and being able to understand what they bring to the table and, never thinking you got it figured out.
Matt, you mentioned the full circle moment. Can you say where you were for that 2000 home run derby? What's your favorite memory from that?
So I was 6, so I don't have too clear a memory of it, but I remember us kind of being like left field, second terrace.
You were at the game, at the actual game?
At the Derby.
That's really cool.
Actually, now I'm thinking that was probably upper deck. But, I just remember, I'm pretty sure McGuire and Sosa were going at it in that one. And, I had all their posters on my walls and everything growing up. So be able to watch them, step on some balls at the Derby was cool.
All right, we'll end on that one.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.